Oil production by country. Top 10 leading oil-producing countries in Africa. Africa's largest oil producers have had a turbulent year, with global oil demand falling 11% in the first half of 2020 and OPEC removing 9.7 million barrels per day (BPD) from the market in a historic agreement last April. In short, the continent's leading producers have maintained their dominance, albeit by narrower margins, with Nigeria and Angola producing 25% to 30% less in 2021 than in 2019. Despite a resurgence in oil prices and a stepped-up exploration drive, African producers are attempting to increase output to pre-COVID-19 levels as OPEC gradually eases its production cuts. Many African governments have long relied on crude oil as a source of revenue. Over the continent, crude reserves abound. Statista estimates that the continent's known crude oil reserves will be 125.3 billion barrels in 2021. As you may know, having plentiful crude reserves is one thing. Being able and willing to extract this oil is quite another. And since we're talking about oil output in 2021, it'll be interesting to see if the countries with the most crude reserves also produce the most. Welcome to Africa Reloaded. In today's video, we'll take you to the top oil-producing countries. Starting from the bottom, here are the countries with the most oil reserves. Stay tuned as we find out more. 10. Chad, crude oil production. 109,000 barrels per day. Chad is a landlocked country located at the intersection of North and Central Africa. It is bounded to the north by Libya, to the east by Sudan, to the south by the Central African Republic, to the west by Cameroon, to the southwest by Nigeria, and to the west by Niger. Chad's oil reserves are estimated to be 1 billion barrels, with the Doba Basin in the south providing the majority of the country's crude. ExxonMobil and Shell are the two major players, with the former overseeing the Chad-Cameroon Development Project, which transports crude from oil fields in southern Chad to a marine terminal in Cameroon for export. 9. Equatorial Guinea, crude oil production. 153,000 barrels per day. Equatorial Guinea's Ministry of Mines and Hydrocarbons plan to increase E&P activities in 2021 and attract $1.1 billion in foreign direct investment into the oil and gas sector. To compensate for decreased output at the Ceiba and Okin complexes, Trident Energy drilled 3 wells in Block G. Meanwhile, maintenance on the Zafiro, Jade, and Serpentina infrastructures, as well as production optimization and management of inactive wells, will be carried out. The Zafiro field, operated by ExxonMobil, was producing 90,000 barrels per day prior to COVID-19 via the Jade fixed production and drilling platform, and Serpentina FSO, making it the country's most productive asset. 8. Gabon, crude oil production. 160,000 barrels per day. Gabonese oil production has been declining due to field maturation and a lack of investment to rebuild production bases, which has been exacerbated by OPEC-led production cuts that have reduced output by nearly 100,000 barrels per day. As a result, the country is seeking new offshore exploration investment. Furthermore, with the changes to the Hydrocarbons Code and its enactment in early 2019, there are high expectations that a reformed and more flexible regulatory environment will result in new capital and technology infusions into the sector. 7. Ghana, crude oil production. 189,000 barrels per day. Ghana is a West African country. It is bordered by the Gulf of Guinea and the Atlantic Ocean to the south, the Ivory Coast to the west, Burkina Faso to the north, and Togo to the east. Ghana's long-term production prospects are bright, thanks to strong output from the productive Jubilee and 10 oil fields, as well as increased foreign investment in offshore basin expansion. Oil output is expected to more than double to 420,000 barrels per day by 2023, thanks to new fields coming online, including the deepwater Tano Cape 3 Points operated by Aker. The Norwegian company is also working on the $4.4 billion Pecan field, which has between 600,000 and 1 million barrels of oil. 6. The Democratic Republic of the Congo, crude oil production, 271,000 barrels per day. Offshore oil and gas dominate the Republic of the Congo's extractive sector, and the government has been able to offset declining output by bringing several projects online over the last decade, including its first deep-water well, Mohobai Londo. A multi-client aerial gravity gradient survey is currently being conducted in the Cuvette Basin area to improve exploration activities. At the same time, Zenith Energy received a new 25-year license to operate the Tilapia oil field at the beginning of the year. 5. Egypt crude oil production, 560,000 barrels per day. Between now and 2022, Egypt will invest $1 billion in new oil and gas exploration in the Western Desert, with the goal of increasing daily crude output. Furthermore, between July 2014 and June 2020, the Egyptian government and multinational operators signed 84 petroleum agreements for oil and gas exploration, totaling $14.8 billion in investments, including $1.1 billion in grants to drill 351 wells. 4. Algeria crude oil production, 874,000 barrels per day. Prior to COVID-19, Algeria, which has the continent's second-largest oil reserves, had a reasonably consistent rate of production of around 1.1 million barrels per day, though output has been declining in recent years. To counteract the decline in foreign upstream investment, the government has promised to increase oil and gas exploration activity in collaboration with multinational operators by reforming state-owned Sonatrach and enacting a new hydrocarbon law. 3. Angola crude oil production, 1.14 million barrels per day. Prior to the implementation of COVID-19 and OPEC-led production limits, Angola's oil output was expected to rise. A 6-year licensing period, a revamped contracts and awards management procedure that incentivizes exploration, and a streamlined national oil firm focused solely on E&P activities have all contributed to the country's sector revitalization. Short cycle tiebacks at Total's Block 17 are expected to result in new discoveries while maximizing existing assets, as are exploration license extensions at Chevron's Block 14 and ExxonMobil's Block 15. 2. Libya crude oil production, 1.17 million barrels per day. Libya, officially the State of Libya, is a country in North Africa's Maghreb region. It is bounded to the north by the Mediterranean Sea, to the east by Egypt, to the southeast by Sudan, to the south by Chad, to the southwest by Niger, to the west by Algeria, and to the northwest by Tunisia. Following a blockade on the country's oil export ports that reduced output to less than 200,000 barrels per day, Libya restored pre-blockade output levels by the end of 2020 and is expected to stabilize production in 2021. The Libyan government has approved a $1.6 billion budget for oil field expansion and infrastructure maintenance, allowing the National Oil Corporation, NOC, to meet its 1.6 million barrels per day target in 2 years. 1. Nigeria crude oil production, 1.36 million barrels per day. Nigeria, located on the Gulf of Guinea, is home to numerous natural wonders and wildlife reserves. Nigeria has one of the largest economies in Africa. It has been primarily based on the petroleum industry since the late 1960s. Nigeria, which is leading the pack, intends to expand its hydrocarbon sector by launching over 100 oil and gas projects, including 25 upstream projects, over the next 5 years. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation recently announced a contract with Shell, ExxonMobil, Total, and Eni to develop an offshore oil block that includes the deepwater Bonga field, potentially unlocking up to $10 billion in new investment and increasing domestic output by 150,000 barrels per day. Thanks for watching this video. If you found it intriguing, do not hesitate to give a thumbs up and also turn on the notification button for more exciting videos on this channel.